Hello,
I'm Karena.
and I'm Jamie.
Welcome to As Told by ADHD. This podcast is the brainchild of two best friends with ADHD who share a passion for learning and a knack for finding the most fascinating tidbits of knowledge.
Each week, we embark on a wild and hilarious journey of discovery as we dive headfirst into topics that pique our curiosity. From dark folklore to bizarre statistics, cultural ceremonies to famous dead people, we're here to entertain, educate, and tickle your funny bone.
Happy Halloween!
Ooh, it's our Halloween episode.
She's a witch. I'm a mushroom skeleton mommy, and we're gonna get into the
Mushroom
spooky
skeleton mommy. I'm changing your name in my phone immediately.
Yeah, look at me. Anyways, we're getting into the spooky spirit this week by not tickling your funny bone, but probably terrifying it with some haunted object stories.
I'm excited. I love spooky.
I'm terrified, actually. She has like the spook. She even has like the spook mug.
Ooh.
Nope.
I've named her Teresa.
Oh, that's a good name. That's fitting.
For those who are just listening, it's a ghost mug.
And everybody say hello, say good morning to Teresa.
Or good
morning,
afternoon,
Teresa.
whenever you're listening to it.
We are up, and it is early, so... Anyways,
Anyway.
we gotta do our dice roll, not dice flip.
Dice flip?
roll.
Let's flip
Dice
that
roll.
dice.
Flip
Okay.
that dice, girl.
Okay, evens or odds?
Odds.
Oh, God. 6.
It's a 6. Okay.
Appropriate.
Yeah. Let's let the one who actually likes telling scary stories go first.
You're probably going to be traumatized by mine.
I feel like I need to bless my house, bless my ears. I'm like, I'm very, like, what would you call it? Superstitious, I guess.
Yeah.
Superstitious. So I'm just like, not here. Go away. So
I'm like, okay, I feel like I'm a skeptic most of the time. But there are some things I don't want to test the waters. I don't want to
Fair.
test the waters. And the object that I'm doing this week, I would not sit in because I'm doing the Busby Stoop Chair. Have you heard of this?
I have not. But I think,
Okay.
wait, no, I think I've heard of the person. It's a murderer, right?
Yeah.
It's like yeah. But I don't, oh gosh. Is his soul still here?
We don't know. It's crazy. Okay. Are you ready?
No.
What do you mean, no?
Okay, I'm ready. Thank goodness we are not doing this at night. I would not be able to sleep.
So I want to take you all the way back to 1702. A long
Really?
time ago.
1702. Like, I didn't think that he was recent. I can't even remember how I heard of him, but go ahead. Please continue.
Before we get to Thomas Busby, I want to talk about Daniel Audie. He was known as a coin clipper from the 1700s.
What's a coin clipper?
A coin clipper is someone who would shave tiny bits of silver off of coins. And so, like, they would just slowly shave down, like, random coins. And then they would have an abundance of, like, shavings. They would melt it down and forge coins to make more money. Right?
Interesting. Okay.
So,
Is this like a dark web trade type thing, like a currency like buff, or is this something that like was just a common job, you think?
no, it was con artists, like, counterfeiting
Okay.
money. So this was
Okay.
like on a download,
Dark web.
like,
Okay.
except there was
Dark
no web.
web of the 1700s.
Yeah. So he used to live in London with his daughter, Elizabeth, and I don't know why they decided to move. I'm assuming maybe the fuzz was on their tail or whatever. I don't know. And he moved to a town near Thirsk in North Yorkshire.
Okay.
Which is in the UK, for those who
Okay.
don't know.
I couldn't quite remember.
I
So-
feel like if it's like a shire or a shear, then it's definitely UK.
Okay.
Maybe
Yeah, that's a
maybe
good
New
way to
Zealand
remember
or
it.
something.
Yeah.
I don't know. Anyway, so he continued his shady business in this town of Thirsk in North Yorkshire. Yorkshire? People from London. People from the UK. Tell us how to say that, because I never know. Anyway, now let's talk about Thomas Busby. He was known as a local drunkard, right? He was a thief, a ruffian. He was going out and stealing stuff, and he was just being a criminal, but like not so shady, more aggressive.
Okay.
And he was a frequent patron at the local inn there, and he would go there every single night. And he had this chair that was his chair, and everybody knew that was his chair, so nobody sat in it. And he was also known for his very, very short temper. Like, very short temper. And one day, he met Elizabeth, Daniel's daughter. And he's like, hey. And I don't know what she saw in him, but she fell for him.
It's usually one of those things like, I can fix you type personality.
I bet it was, honestly. But then also, like, how shady was she? Because, like, was she involved in her father's business, or was she just, like, bebopping around? Like, what was it about, you know?
Yeah. Yeah.
Right. Maybe she's just
Yeah.
as shady. Maybe she likes the thrill of it. Who knows? That being said, they got married soon after they met, and Thomas ended up finding out about the business, and it became a family business. So he joined in, right? They became business partners of this really sketchy, not business.
Yeah, I was like, what could possibly go wrong?
What could possibly go wrong? Eventually, everything kind of went south. So Daniel kind of made it known that he was not a fan of his son-in-law. He was not a fan of Thomas, and he didn't want his daughter being anywhere near him anymore.
I'm so nervous because if this chair already has some negative juju, because he's there, he's angry, he's drunk, like all of his aura, let's say that, all not in a
over
positive way, is literally drenched into the wood at this point. So
All those farts and everything.
all the sweat, possible tears, body oils.
Honestly, yeah. This chair is well used.
Oh, well used.
Anyway, so Daniel wasn't a fan. What parent would be? You know?
Right.
Like, he's got a temper. Like, I can only imagine, especially back then, like, did he beat her? You know? Like,
yeah.
Was that normal back then? I don't know.
I think it was because they wanted the wives to act right. And
Ugh.
what better way than to punish them like children or something?
I don't know. Well, but also, like, was he always so drunk that he couldn't? I don't know. That's not part of this story. I mean, it kind of is. So, one day, Daniel goes to the inn and he's like, I'm making my daughter come home with me because I don't want her living with this guy anymore because he is awful. He is mean and he has a temper and I don't want him to hurt my daughter anymore. So
Fair.
he shows up to the inn and he's like, Elizabeth, come home. And she's like, no, I'm not leaving without my husband. Or without talking to him first. He's like, no, you have to come with me. Like, I don't want you to be with him anymore. And she's like, but Daddy, I love him. As they all do. And what ends up happening is Daniel sits in Thomas's chair and waits for Thomas. There ends up being kind of a fight because when Thomas gets there, he's not really that mad about him trying to take his wife away. He's mad that he's sitting in his fucking chair. but also probably a little bit about the wife. But also he's probably drunk. I don't know. This is all like word of mouth, by the way. Like, it's very legend says type of vibes, you know? Anyway, so Daniel ends up leaving. Elizabeth stays with Thomas, and they stay there as they're like, or as Thomas gets drunker and drunker, and he's ranting and raving, and he's just so mad. And then eventually, he goes home, but not to his home. He goes to Daniel's home. And he walks through the shop where they cut coins, or that clip coins, and he picks up the hammer that they use to forge the coins, and he beats his father-in-law to death. He drags his body to the woods, and he is like, done. A few days later, his body was obviously found because a drunk man tried to hide a body. Like, what more could you say about that? Anyway, so the evidence was staggering. There was so much evidence against him. Everybody knew that he was ranting and raving and threatening Daniel, and he was just so angry that he would sit in his chair and try to take his wife, maybe.
I mean...
And then, after all is said and done, the trial ended very quickly, and he was sentenced to death by hanging, as you do in those times. And near the inn where he usually went, he was taken to the gallows, which were fairly close. If I'm like did my research correct, it was kind of hard because there wasn't like a ton of like
right
maps of that area that I could find. Anyway, so the last words he ends up saying was, and again, this wasn't written down anywhere. This is just what people have said over the years. He says, "May sudden death come to anyone who dares to sit in my chair."
What the heck? Was he drunk when they
Probably. Probably. So
what the heck? So he cursed his chair.
Yes. He cursed his chair.
Wow.
And then he was tarred and put in a gibbet cage, which, do you know what a gibbet cage is?
No.
So you, like, I'm trying to think of, like, a good example. I think there's one in the Goonies where there's, like, you know when you see, like, in video games or movies where, like, there's a cage hanging and there's a skeleton in it?
Oh, yeah.
It's one of those cages.
Okay. Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
It's called a gibbet cage. Or if you've seen Hocus Pocus. Ooh. What Sanderson sisters, they put those bullies in some of those cages. Do you remember that?
Yeah.
Anyway.
I immediately, as soon as you explained it to me, I immediately thought of Pirates of the Caribbean.
Yes.
Yep.
It's definitely in there. I don't know why I thought of Goonies first, because I was thinking like when they're in the cave in the Goonies.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
Anyway, so the inn was later renamed Busby Stoop Inn. I could not find what it was named before, but the reason they named it Busby Stoop Inn was because there was a crossroads nearby that if you were at the inn, you could see his body tarred and hanging in that cage.
Oh, I was about to say, ain't no way. I mean, I was like, ain't no way this owner would call, like, rename over this guy who was drunk and killed people. But then at the same time, I was like, probably brought in a lot of money because he was so drunk all the time.
Yeah,
counterfeit or not,
he's
like he probably brought in so much money.
He's like, R.I.P. my best customer.
Exactly. In your honor.
Anyway, so this is where it gets good, or
okay,
or bad, or whatever.
Scary. This is where it gets spooky.
So you know how he said how may sudden death befall anybody who sits in his chair?
Yeah.
crazy thing kind of happened.
You're
A
kidding.
lot. So,
Like, people actually died? Wait.
yeah. For years, people were scared to sit in the chair because they were like, this motherfucker, he probably cursed this chair. So nobody really sat in it. Nobody wanted to be around it. Nobody even touched it. And then, eventually, some brave souls would try. Some would sit in it knowingly, and some would sit in it by accident. One of the earlier incidences, I couldn't find any dates on, but it was said that there was a cleaning lady who worked at the inn, and she was just cleaning nearby, and she tripped. And some people say that she just, like, fell and, like, caught herself on the chair. Some people say she stumbled back into it. Because, like, I mean, I've done that before. I've stumbled back into a chair before. But I'm clumsy, so. But yeah, later that night, she died.
Of what?
It seemed like natural causes. I saw some sources said a brain aneurysm, some said a brain tumor, and then some said a heart attack. Crazy. So, and then this is just the very beginning. Like, it gets wild, right? So,
Oh my goodness. Okay.
in 1894, a nameless chimney sweep sat in Busby's chair. Some people say he did it unknowingly. Some people say he did it as a dare. But the next day, like, because it happened at night, the next morning, he was found hanging on a gatepost, a short walk from the inn.
Like, impaled?
No, he was hanging from a rope.
So, self-exit?
That's what people thought for a really long time. But later, a deathbed confession of the friend that he was there with that allegedly might have dared him to sit in the chair killed him on the way home.
What in the world? Did he say why?
There was no record of that. I'm sure he, like, if you're confessing, you
Wow.
probably would be like, yeah, this is why, but what
Just
can you do?
walking home after sitting in that chair, I had this overwhelming urge to pull a rope that I probably had chilling in my bag, and
Or maybe he
kill
was a
this
serial
guy.
killer. Maybe he was a serial killer. Maybe his friend pissed him off.
That
I
seems
don't
more
know.
likely. That seems way more
Mhm.
likely.
Right. But then, several years later, during World War II, several Canadian airmen from a nearby base reportedly sat in the chair. And every single one that sat in the chair never returned from their missions. Some were killed in war, some went MIA and were never found.
Now, next question. Did they just keep the chair out, like,
Yes.
at a normal bar? Or did they have it, like, in, like, an area that was just like, this is Tom Busby's chair?
Well, I think they did. It was kind of a quiet town, so everybody who was there knew about the chair. They knew the story behind the chair, and if you walked in, they would tell you about the chair. But the chair was just out, and it was left
Wow.
in the same spot that Thomas Busby would sit in.
Wow.
Then, in 1967, 2 Royal Air Force pilots, which are like the British military, they sat in the chair while at the pub. On their way home, they both died in a car crash because they ran into a tree.
What is going on?
Right? In 1970, a construction worker took a dare and sat in the chair on his lunch break. Later that day, he fell from a scaffolding and died. This chair is crazy.
So, this is just how my brain, like, works when it comes to certain things. Like, I'm a very skeptical individual, right? I was thinking for a second that the bartender is, like, twisted. Obviously, it wouldn't apply to, like, the pilots who, like, left and like went to war and stuff like that. But, like, the construction worker, the chimney sweep buddy, stuff like that. Like, what if the bartender is drugging them, like, with some, like, hallucinogens or something? And then, like,
maybe
it's like, you sit in the chair, I'll give you a free beer. And then he just...
And
well,
then, you know?
I would possibly agree with that. However, this is over decades. There's no way it's the same bartender the whole time. In like the 1700s is, I think, when the maid happened. In the 1800s is when the chimney sweep happened. And then World War II, which is in like the 1930s. And then we got the 1960s, 1970s. Like, I
It's
don't
just
know.
a family business of drugging people with hallucinogens. I'm just kidding.
Well, okay.
But go ahead.
So here's kind of like, I can kind of explain all of these away so far,
Yeah.
right? So, I mean, if the cleaning lady already had a brain tumor and she didn't know it, that's likely that she would die, you know?
Yeah, maybe
And
she
then-
stumbled because she was feeling lightheaded or random shots of pain in her skull or something. Yeah.
Right. And then we have the chimney sweep with his friend who is psychotic. That's clearly the explanation there. Then we have World War II. With war, of course, there's going to be people who die in war. Like, that's just natural. That's just what happens.
Yeah. Unfortunate.
Unfortunately, and I hate war, and I'm against war. I'm anti-war, and I stand by that. Anyway. Then, if you look at the Air Force pilots, the driver could have been drunk and just driving drunk and crashed in a car. So far, all of these, I mean, other than the construction worker, that one's kind of crazy, but also a construction worker falling off of scaffolding and breaking his head open, that's likely to happen too, you know? Like,
True.
Accidents happen. So, all of these can be explained away.
Right.
That being said, 2 more airmen sat in a chair in 1971, and they were driving home and hit a telephone pole. Again, could be drunk driving. And around the same time, this is one of like the last incidents that was reported, and I watched a BBC interview of the landlord at the time, which he had just taken over like maybe 5 years previous.
Mm-hmm.
He said there was a dish lad, so a dishwasher, that worked there, and he begged the landlord. He was like, please let me sit in that chair. And the landlord's like, no, you're not sitting in that chair. And he's like, please. And so eventually he wears him down and he's like, fine, go sit in the chair. He sits in the chair, goes home that evening, and 2 hours after he left work, his father comes in and is like, can you please remove the chair? My son just fell through the roof and broke his head open and he's dead.
Oh my gosh.
Right. And then, so at that point, the landlord was like, okay, yeah, I'm putting this in the back. Like, I'm just going to put it in the back with the rest of the furniture we don't use. It's going to be okay. And then he gets word that there are students from a nearby, I think, college. And he's like, they're like, we're going to come take that chair. It's going to be our chair. And he's like, no. So he puts it in the cellar and locks it up because he's like, nobody else is dying. But like and also at this point, he was like, I'm kind of skeptic. Like, I don't fully believe, like all of these could be accidents, right?
Mm-hmm.
Then his friend, who he said was in perfect health, never had any issues. He came and he just like was in the cellar with him, helping him with something. And his friend sat in the chair. 3 days later, he died. Suddenly, unexpectedly.
Wow.
Right. And then he was like, I can't do this anymore. So he ends up donating the chair to a museum, but with one condition. He's like, this chair has to be mounted on the wall so no one can sit in it. Because at this point, he believes. So he's like,
Right.
He's like, okay, nobody's sitting in this chair. You take it, put it in a museum. I'm not, like, I don't want to be responsible for this anymore. And then he said that later he was noticing some weird stuff around the pub, but he was like, no, it couldn't be. But more weird stuff kept happening. So he was like, what if I just put a pint of beer out for Thomas? The weird stuff stopped happening. What are you thinking?
deaths aside,
Mm-hmm.
everybody who sat in it, all the dead people aside, does this mean, like, there was no other, like, paranormal instances or stories when it was at the inn? So does that mean the bartender or bartenders throughout their time there always put a pint of beer out for him?
Okay, several things could be happening here, right?
Mm-hmm.
I think it could be like you're distraught about your friend, so you go into some type of psychosis and you're seeing things that aren't there. So you're like, what if I give him a pint of beer? Maybe he'll stop. Just not knowing that your
Panic.
brain is making those things up, right?
Or
Or if haunting's real, if that's what you believe, then Thomas Busby could be pissed that they took his chair. He's so mad about it. So he decides that he is gonna fuck some shit up.
poltergeist activity because it was removed from the inn. That's crazy.
Yeah. So that's kind of the story. And overall, there are 60 to 70 related deaths to this chair. Those were just the ones that were like factually proven. Not because of the chair, but just like those definitely happened. The others were like word of mouth.
Wow.
Mm-hmm.
That's insane.
I know. What do you think?
I think paranormal activity to like that extent has always been something I've juggled on if I believe or not. And I think it's because of, like you kind of briefly touched on, the mindset of people,
Mm-hmm.
right? Like coincidences are a thing. That's how our brain tries to justify like
Right.
XYZ, right? And if we are not in the right state of mind, like you kind of went on the binge of like learning about the brain for a little bit, like our brain does some freaky stuff.
It really does.
Like
It's
freaky
crazy.
stuff. Like just
I
briefly,
mean,
I'll
even
tell
with like
this.
the eye stuff, like like when I think it was a couple episodes ago when I was talking about like once you go from like sometimes your brain just glitches and you see colors that are different from what you're used to, and you're like, what the heck?
Yeah. And I'll briefly touch on this. Like there's a guy who survived a self-exit attempt. And he tells his story to this day where he said that he had let his brain wander about self-exit so much that the day he was about to do it, it was like he was completely out of control of his body. He said that he felt like the window, like he was hallucinating almost, like his window to his dorm disappeared in his brain, completely disappeared.
That's
and he said he felt the strongest suction, as if like a storm wind was just like pushing against his back towards the window. Like he was literally being pulled towards the window, and it was all in his head. So that's why I'm just like, I feel like this is kind of like our hauntings, you know, are kind of like that, like where that person's mindset is, like maybe why some people can be hypnotized and why some people can't be hypnotized, you know, or stuff like that because of like the way their brain works. So I feel like this being a very word of mouth story, it's just like people might have had these experiences. I'm not discounting their experiences because that's what their brain literally saw or felt or thought of or whatever. So,
but like part of me is like, how are so many deaths almost immediately after sitting in the chair?
Very true.
Like what kind of weird coincidence is making that happen?
True.
And like I kind of for one don't fully believe in coincidences. I'm very like everything kind of happens, maybe not for a reason, but I feel like everything's connected. You know what I mean? Like I'm one of those people. But I will say that the chair is now in the Thirsk Museum in North Yorkshire, and it is mounted on the wall, and no one is allowed to sit in it.
Thank goodness.
I know. Like I said, like I don't fully believe in that, but I don't want to take the chance. Like, what if I'm wrong? What if I'm wrong? I sit in that chair and I die. No, thank you.
Yeah, I'm not gonna do it either. Like, even though my brain is thinking the way that it is, I'm still superstitious at the end of the day, so I'm also not gonna sit in it. No, thank
Right.
you.
I can look at it, fine.
I have a son to raise. I ain't got time for that.
Right. And another weird thing, though, is that people think that the original Busby Stoop Chair was switched out at some point because the type of chair that it is doesn't fully match the style of chair that would have been in that time period. Because, you know those, like, wood carving things where they, like, put the thing in and it, like, spins and you
Yes.
carve it? That had not been widely used yet. So they think, but that chair had those, like, spindles. And so they were like, I
Gotcha.
don't know if this is from that time period. But I do think it was invented, so it could have just been a chair that got imported. I don't know.
This is true. This is true.
But the chair does look used. So,
Does it? I can't wait to look at it.
I know.
Actually, interesting. Yeah, that doesn't look like the average bar chair at all.
Well, it was like a chair in the corner.
Oh, well, like
Yeah.
restaurant chair. It doesn't even look like a restaurant chair. It's crazy.
Well, it was a pub and inn.
Oh,
So
yeah.
maybe that's why. Or
Oh, it
maybe
is a stoop
maybe Thomas
chair.
brought that. Maybe he brought that chair in, and he was like, "You
This
know
is my
what? This is
chair."
my chair. I brought it
It
in."
is used.
Mm-hmm.
Look at those butt creases.
Yeah. Look at those butt creases.
Look at those butt creases.
So that's the Busby Stoop in chair. Thank you. Oh my god.
Lots of death.
Thank you.
A lot of
I'm trying to
death.
show my sleeves. My witchy sleeves.
Nice. Okay. So, my story is the reason why I do not purchase furniture secondhand.
Fair. I don't purchase mirrors secondhand.
I won't purchase mirrors, I won't purchase pictures, and I won't purchase certain furniture secondhand. And that is because if it is like a piece of furniture that is heavily used, you don't know what type of energy is soaked into that wood or that metal or whatever.
Mhm.
And that's why I went that route, because I was just like, let's just discourage everybody from buying secondhand. I'm kidding. I'm really happy for those who can find their bargain secondhand and they love it and they've never experienced anything. But this girl, nope.
Not willing to try.
Yeah, my boyfriend's a handyman. He built the desk that's behind me and the shelves. I'm just gonna let him do that. So, but we're gonna talk about a set of bunk beds.
Oh no. That means there's children involved.
Yeah, but there's no death.
Okay.
So,
But then how is it haunted if there's no death?
there's a lot of mystery around where this bed came from. They don't know
Okay.
where this bed came from. That's why they were just like, oh, what is wrong? What is this? Blah, 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 blah. Okay? So, we are in 1987. Okay?
1987.
It was the winter of 1987.
So cold.
I've got a chill.
British? I've got a chill.
I've got a chill. But Alan and Debbie Tallman, they were a young couple, and they were living in Horkin, Wisconsin. And they brought home a wooden bunk bed for their children. They were just out and about. They were shopping secondhand because they were young. They have to save money where they can. They have children. And they stumble upon this bed in a furniture shop secondhand, and they were just like, this is perfect. It's good. It's pine.
It's good. It's pine. It's fine.
It's pine. It's fine. It's sturdy. It's old, but it is holding up really well. And look at this price. Unbeatable. You can't buy pine beds like this anymore. They bought this bed. It got shipped to their house or got delivered to their house. When the bed arrived, of course, nothing didn't seem unusual about it. It was a bed. So they assembled it, or Alan, he assembled it, and he placed it in one of the children's bedrooms. And for a while, of course, like all stories, haunted stories, for a while, everything seemed perfectly fine. Then the nights began to change. Ooh.
Oh, it's so cold.
It's so cold. I'm shivering.
Oh, wait, the snow's melting. It's changing. It's not waiting.
Debbie said at first there was like this subtle feeling of being watched. It was like a very strange, like you just kind of feel like there's something watching you from behind, okay?
I hate that feeling. I hate that feeling. I hate that feeling. I hate that feeling.
And they would only get it when the lights turned off.
Nope.
Yep.
Mm-mm.
Next, they would experience whispers in the hallway. But when they stopped talking to kind of acknowledge what they were hearing, the whispers stopped. And then the children started having nightmares.
Okay, kids just have nightmares sometimes.
But they wake up and they said a strange woman with long hair was just staring at them. The face was twisted, it was shadowy, and it was just sitting there staring at them. Mom, Debbie, coddled her children, was like, it's okay, everything's fine. They're bad dreams.
I'd be sleeping in their room with them. I'd be like,
That's what I would do too.
Believe
But she was
kids.
like, you're safe.
Believe kids.
You're good. I know, right? You're safe. You're okay. But of course, the nightmares did not stop.
Because, like, what are the chances? Okay, this is where my brain goes. If my kids are like, well, I don't have kids, but if I had kids and they were like, somebody was standing over us watching us sleep, I'd be like, no, because I've heard too many true crime stories where a strange man was standing outside of a window watching children, and guess what? It was usually an escaped prisoner or a predator or
no. And I would put bars on their windows instantly so that nothing could go in or out. So
I'd put a padlock on the door, and I'd lock myself in the room with them. I'd be like, nope, I'm sleeping in here.
We're all together now. But a few weeks later, with these little subtle instances getting worse and progressing worse to the point of nightmares, the house itself, they said, that they were already previously living in before they got the bed, the house began to act strangely. They had a digital clock radio in the master bedroom. It started turning itself on in the middle of the night, blasting static, they said. And then the hands of the alarm clock would move on their own, resetting to odd hours. So, like, I mean, you can't really do anything about an analog clock. Like, it just kind of just ticks, but it would get stuck in, like, random hours and then just stay there, even though the radio part was still working. So it wasn't a battery thing, it wasn't an electrical thing at all. It would just...
Maybe you need a little oil.
Maybe it needs a little WD-40. Who knows? So that was like the next step. That was like the next level. And then they said that the doors would creak open and slam shut on different parts of the house.
Okay,
and
but were their windows open?
Exactly. So I was just like, oh, suction. Because, fun fact, I am the only girl in my large family. I think I've said this before. Have 6 brothers. My oldest brother, wild. My oldest brother used to scare all of us by saying there was a ghost in the house because he had a bathroom. So we had like a Jack and Jill bathroom, and the one door to the bathroom would go to the hallway, the other door to the bathroom would be in my brother's room. So he would crack the door to the bathroom and say that a ghost is closing the bathroom, and he's like, come in here, come in here, come in here. And
he would close the door. As we were watching the bathroom door, he would close his bedroom door and the door would slam shut because of the suction in the hallway.
Mhm.
So
Wait, so did he know, or was he freaked out too?
No, he knew.
Okay. I just want to make sure.
He was just trying
'Cause,
to scare all of the little
Because
siblings.
based off of what your other brother did with the cactus, that sounded crazy. Based off of the crazy thought process your other brother had grabbing a cactus.
This is the oldest. This is the oldest brother.
Oh, no, I know.
He has more
but
common sense.
Listen, out of all your younger brothers, I thought that brother had more common sense. Nope. He grabbed that cactus.
He did.
Wow.
He
Anyway.
did. But anyways, so doors. We're going up a tier. One evening, the husband, Alan, came home late from his job. He worked at a factory. So he came home late from his job. He stepped into his garage, and he did say that he was absolutely exhausted. So this is where mental stuff could possibly come in, okay? He said he stepped into the garage when suddenly a deep male voice called out his name and said, Alan. He said he literally jolted around, as one should, like, who's there? Because it's, like, almost instinctual. And he said a flash of orange light, like, caught his eye. Like, he literally turned orange. And he said the corner of the garage was on fire. He said he ran inside, grabbed a fire extinguisher, and when he came back into the garage, the flames were completely gone. No trace of smoke, no trace of soot, no trace of whatever could have caught on fire. Nothing. The corner looked completely normal.
See, this type of stuff gets me because, like, one of my biggest fears is losing my mind. Like, the thought of losing my mind makes me makes me want to just anyway.
I mean, seriously though. But he just said after he came back in, he stood there and he was like frozen in fear. I would too, especially if I just saw what I saw and heard what I heard, right?
Mm-hmm.
And that was the moment that he really was like, okay, my kids have been saying something. My wife has been saying something. Now I am seeing and hearing of something. This house is like something's not right. Something's completely unnatural with this home.
Mm-hmm.
So he said, of course, like the family said, because there were interviews about this later, the children grew so terrified they didn't even want to stay in the house.
Mm-hmm.
The children said they started seeing, so it started from a woman, right?
Mm-hmm.
And they're staring at them, to a red-eyed figure staring at them from the foot of the bed. Toys began moving on their own and sometimes flying off shelves. I have goosebumps.
I would move. I'd move.
Yeah, I would burn the house to the ground. I sure would.
If I couldn't afford to move, I'd buy a tent and we'd be in the backyard.
I mean,
not today.
That's why I
I
said
don't know.
these stories. Not today, Satan. Get out of my house in the name of Jesus. Okay, so okay, like we started right here. Little sounds. We're up here now. We're up to like the bottom of my little plant guy. Okay. They were like, I think it's the bed. Because that was the last piece of furniture we moved in. The kids are experiencing terrifying stuff with this bed, mostly. Because, like, yes, the flame thing happened, but the children are losing their minds. So they were like, first, maybe it's the house, but the bed, right? Kind of like the same thing with the beer. It's just kind of like, how can I justify? What happened? Blah, 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 right? So they got the bed, took it apart, put it down in the basement.
Okay, if you think it's the bed, why are you putting it in the basement? Why are you not getting rid of it?
Exactly. They said the noises, the voices, and the nightmares followed.
Followed the bed?
They started hearing noises in the basement, voices in the basement, and then they had nightmares about the basement.
Burn it.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, out of exhaustion, as people would do, especially involving the paranormal, they called their pastor. And when he visited the home, he said he felt an unbelievable evil presence, right? Now, this is not an exorcist. This is not a demonologist. This is just their normal church pastor who came in. He was just like, oh, this house feels not okay, okay? But he did say it could be tied to an object because they were like telling him, this is what's happening. This is what we think it is, blah, blah, blah. And that's where they got educated about things being attached to certain items.
Okay,
right?
but get rid of the bed. But just get rid of it. Like, you're not using it. Get rid of it.
They didn't. After the pastor said something, it's still in their basement. So
Oh my God.
the pastor blessed the house and
Get rid of it.
I know. That's what I'm saying.
Why is it in the
But-
basement?
I know.
Put it in the backyard or something.
Burn it. Like put salt in the at the basement door line at least until you like I don't know, dude.
No, pull it to the center, put a salt circle around it.
I mean, yeah. So
Don't want it anywhere near
exactly
me at all.
Exactly. But they should have just got rid of it. Case closed.
Mhm.
So, pastor blessed the house, prayed for protection, but of course the peace did not last. So, after the blessing, Alan woke up and he said that his eyes, of course you're disoriented too, so it's kind of like, again, but he said he was surrounded by a thick glowing mist and that it left and drifted into the hallway, and as he watched, it seemed to take shape almost human before vanishing again. And he said that was the breaking point.
Nope, he needs sleep. He needs sleep.
He said that was
sleep.
He was like, that was it. My kids are seeing a red glowing figure, like, but I saw a figure.
I saw
That's my breaking
mist.
point. I can't do it. I can't
Gotta
do
get
it.
Fucking men.
Leave.
Like, you're all wrong. Oh, but then I saw it. You're right. Let's go.
Yeah.
I don't know. I'm a firm believer.
Few days
believe
later.
children.
Yeah. Same. A few days later, Alan went back alone to the house, dragged the bunk bed outside, loaded it up, drove it away to a city dump. And then at the city dump, I don't know if he knew a guy or like whatever, but he was allowed to set it on fire there. I guess this is where you can have a controlled fire. I don't know. But he set it on fire there and he literally watched it until all of it was burnt.
You should have done it a long time ago, my guy.
Yeah, literal ash. So he said after that, the strange occurrences stopped completely. So
Crazy.
the story, of course, because Horkin is not a huge town. So they said, of course, like the story spread quickly. In church, the grocery store, parks, you know, whatever.
Mhm.
They said, because their last name is Tallman, they said that, oh, they just are starting to go crazy. They're just crazy. They're just psychotic. Other people were just like, yeah, they had a demon experience. And that was demonic. They're better with, like, they dodged a bullet. Like, thank goodness they got rid of it when they did. And then they moved out of the house. The house sat empty for a while. And of course, word of mouth, because they heard the story. They said when they drove by, they would see lights turning on and off. And it was featured, the story, the Tallman story, was featured in Unsolved Mysteries in 1988. And the Tallmans were interviewed, but they were like skeptical because they didn't want to be like, this is just like a cash grab, like let me add extra drama to it. They were like, no, I'm gonna lay out what's happened to you. We don't want attention. We just want people to know that it was real. And of course the bunk bed never resurfaced because it was burned. And the Tallmans lived peacefully, and it's an urban legend pretty much now in the town of Horkin.
Mhm.
So
I feel like my first thing, if I were in the parent situation, I'd be like, is there a gas leak? And I would call a gas monitor person the
Yeah.
fire department, I'd be like, listen, we're hallucinating. You need to check the house.
Yeah.
Like, but then if it stopped after, I wonder if it was like a mass hallucination thing, or if it was like, I don't know. I mean, it could
like
be
maybe the
hella real.
maybe, but you have to think too. Like, I believe, I don't know when it was actually changed, but paints had lead in it that would cause major
Mhm.
hallucinations. We don't know what wood was treated with back in the day.
Right. That's
Like-
so true.
Like, you literally have no idea. You don't even know what's in your water back in the
Mhm.
day. So I think there was a lot
used
of
to put lead
contributing
in the paint.
factors. Exactly. I think there was a lot of contributing factors. Do I think it could have been haunted? Might have. Somebody could have been murdered on it. Somebody could have been sacrificed on it. You never know, because this furniture just kind of popped up. So in my town, we have this ginormous warehouse where people can like rent different corners or squares inside of this giant warehouse and just sell their stuff. Antiques, not just randoms and stuff like that, but like they'll do books, they'll do pictures, they'll do tables, they'll do chairs, side tables, desks, all of it, right?
Mhm.
And it could just be like a cursed house that somebody bought and was just like, hey, I can make extra money if I sell, this furniture inside at the flea market or something. And
Listen,
goodness knows what happened on that furniture, which is why I won't buy secondhand furniture. I refuse. I'm not doing it.
listen. I love vintage furniture. So I'll take the chance. As long as it's not Busby Stoop's chair.
I actually was looking. Apparently, his rope is still around too, and it's cursed.
Yeah. It's hanging. Well, I don't even know if it's the same rope, though. I think
The same thing
It's-
with the chair.
because I think they tarred the rope with the body. So
Gotcha.
it's just a rope that's hanging outside. But the Busby Stoop it's now like, it was around for a really long time, but in the past, like, 10 years, it's been remodeled to a different restaurant. So it's not around anymore.
Cool. Well, it's good that the grounds aren't cursed.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's just the chair.
But do you want to hear my paranormal story? It's really quick.
Okay.
Okay, so I was a nerd in high school, a theater nerd at that. Also, I loved Disney. However, I'm not a Disney adult, so you don't have to worry about that. So I went to Universal, and we stayed on the Universal grounds, but we were going to Universal and Disney. I took a friend with me, and we were going to bed one night. It was like 2 a.m., maybe like getting close to 3. My friend was asleep, and I like started to doze off, but then I felt something move in the bed, so I was like, oh, she must be just like rolling over or something. I turned over, and it looked like she was sitting up. And I was like, what are you doing? What are you doing? Dude, what are you doing? And she wasn't answering me. And then I reached over, and she was laying down. But I saw somebody sitting like at the bed looking back at her. And I was like, oh! And I was freaking out. And then I was like, I just was like froze in fear. And then I saw her head like whip around and look at the door. And then I looked where she was looking, and there was a man standing in the door. Like it was like a silhouette of a man. It wasn't like I didn't see like a man.
Doesn't matter.
They were both silhouettes, right? And then I remember like I saw him like cross his arms and do this. And then I looked back at the woman, and she stood up, and she was wearing like a Victorian ball gown, and she walked to the door. And like past him, and like she was like looking at him, and like she had her arms crossed too, and then he looked back at me, did a little head thing, and then walked behind her. And I was like, what the actual fuck just happened? Couldn't sleep that night.
Oh
I don't know
gosh.
what kind of hallucination was happening, but I was scared. And I didn't tell my friend until after we left because I didn't want her to be freaked out. Because she was one of those friends that, like, we're not friends at all anymore. I don't speak to her ever. But she was one of those people that if I had told her, she would have freaked out and, like, screamed and cried. And
That's freaky. That's freaky. I don't like it. I'm surprised I've never heard that story before.
I swear I've told you that story. Do
You
you have any paranormal
either that
stories?
or you were just sparing my feelings.
Maybe. Do you have any paranormal stories?
So I technically do, but I think I can debunk it, like, as an adult. But when I was a kid, my mom would put me to bed. Of course, I would not be asleep as soon as she put me in the bed. So I would just kind of lay there in the dark until I could fall asleep. And I thought I had a ghost friend who would come say goodnight to me.
How old were you?
And it wasn't scary. I don't quite remember. It's just kind of like a fleeting memory. And I know that I was little because I thought that it was a ghost, but it didn't scare me. So I had to be like a very, very young age.
Was this around when Casper came out, or?
It was before Casper, I think. It could have been after Casper came out. I don't know. But I remember laying in the dark, and we lived in a neighborhood. So this is why I think I can debunk it. Children don't go to bed at like midnight for the most part. You know, a lot of kids have bedtime. So I know it was earlier in the evening now, but I would see a ghost kind of like over here. If I'm like laying in the bed, it'd be like over here, and it would always just go across slowly, and it would just kind of stay right here, and then it would go away. So I thought that it was a ghost saying goodnight to me, but it happened every single night around the exact same time. And I had a window that was right here on this wall, and my brain now is just like, it was just headlights like
That's
shining
so
through your
funny.
blinds every single night, the same time. You know, the light will come in and then the car will turn or something, and it would just boom. So like,
funny.
but when I was little, I swore up and down that it was a ghost saying goodnight to me every single night.
Cute.
So I'll probably remember that forever. I don't think I've ever had like a paranormal experience, like a demonic or weird or ghost or like whatever. I've even gone to haunted places with my boyfriend in other states, and I haven't been able to like really see or experience anything there.
I also used to think I was haunted at one point, but turns out when you're really, really stressed out, you can sleepwalk. And I was getting up in the middle of the night, like sleepwalking, and I would move stuff around.
I will say, waking her up is the hardest thing you could ever possibly do. You cannot wake this girl up.
I like sleep.
If we did need to wake her up for like something like a really early, like blah blah blah, not even really early, like 7 a.m. even, she would wake up, but she would just sit up, and I'm gonna reenact it, and she would just not be there. You would wake her up.
That's crazy.
Just not there. Completely. You could not there, but she's like sat up. I guess her body's just like, I'm up, but I'm still asleep. But anyways, if you have any haunted stories, or if you feel like you've experienced something of the paranormal, we would love to hear about it on this spooky October day.
It's actually Halloween.
Halloween. So,
Also, what's
What
your
are you
favorite
gonna-
Halloween movie?
yeah. I was literally about to say, like, what's your go-to playlist, like, movie-wise, when it comes to this time of year?
Love Hocus Pocus. Amok, amok, amok.
I'm more of just fall movies. Like, I'm not a scary movie type person.
Right. Well, Hocus Pocus
I'm
isn't scary at all.
Well, no, Hocus Pocus isn't scary. No, but I'm like, I will watch like Casper. I will watch
Ooh, love
I don't
Halloween
really
Town.
know. Yeah, good Halloween Town. Yeah.
Yeah.
Go watch whatever Halloween movie you want. Actually, get in the spirit. Go ahead and go make your little Halloween sugar cookies that everybody likes to get. Add extra sprinkles because you deserve it.
Do you like
sweet
candy
thing.
corn? Go get candy corn. I know only half of you probably like candy corn. I'm one of those people, and
My son likes candy corn. He does.
just
He does
sugar.
love a good candy corn.
love sugar. But I hope you have a spooky day.
A very spooky and pleasantly unpleasant day. And we will see you next week.
Good night.
I like that one.
Thank you.
Goodbye.